Broadcasting from the Sacramento Republic FC studios. KHTK AM and HD. KNCI HD3 Sacramento. This is Sports 1140 KHTK. We do sports. Now, your Sports 1140 KHTK update. Brought to you by J.R. Putman Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Hey, it's Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. That's right, they're yours, not mine. The Zion Williamson show lasted just 36 seconds last night at Cameron Indoor Stadium. Duke's star forward blew out a shoe and injured his knee in the first minute of number 1 Duke's 88-72 blowout loss against number 8 North Carolina. Coach K called the injury a mild knee sprain, and a timeline for Williamson's return is unknown. Also, the NBA is back tonight. The Kings open their final 25-game stretch in Oakland against the Warriors. Warriors center DeMarcus Cousins won't have a minutes restriction for the first time since his return from an Achilles injury back in January. Our coverage on Sports 1140 begins with game night at 6 o'clock. Kings Live is at 7, and tip-off with the G-Man is a little later than normal. It's at 7:30 tonight, and that's right here on Sports 1140. Those are your top stories. Now back to the drive. It's Damien filling in for Dave on Sports 1140 KHTK.
Appreciate you so much for hanging out this morning. You can check us out on the live stream, KHTK.com. Although the king of the live stream is not here, Jason Herbert Walker Ross will be back with us on Monday when the show goes back to its normal time slot at noon. Of course, Carmichael Dave will be back here on Monday at 6 a.m. as well. Sam Amick of The Athletic is going to be with us here in just about 5 minutes. Did we get a winner for Luke Bryan tickets, by the way?
Yeah, we sure did.
Andy, congratulations. Luke Bryan with special guest John Langston at the Lake Tahoe Outdoor Arena at Harvey's on August 25th. We will have another pair of tickets to give away for you tomorrow. So make sure that you are locked in here with us. Again, Sam Amick's going to join us here in just a little bit. We've spent this morning talking about Zion Williamson and the injury that he suffered. Nothing new out of Duke and out of the Duke basketball camp other than what Coach K told us last night, and that is that Zion Williamson suffered a minor knee sprain. Le'Veon Bell, we learned from the Pittsburgh Steelers general manager, who we also learned is a complete putz. We've learned that Le'Veon Bell will be a free agent. This is, depending on who you are and how you felt about this situation, is depending on whether this is actually news or not. To me, this is newsworthy because I did wonder if the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to use a transition tag on him. I did wonder if the Pittsburgh Steelers were just going to be vengeful and attempt to keep him around and force his hand to potentially sit out another season. None of that seems to be the case. I think that's the right approach for everybody involved. As the Steelers general manager Kevin Colbert said yesterday, Le'Veon is still a great player. We can't afford to use any other type of tags. Le'Veon will be an unrestricted free agent at the start of the new league year, which is coming up, by the way, on March 4th. That is a quote there from the Pittsburgh Steelers general manager. So that team is going to look a lot different next year. Given this week, we've been told that Le'Veon Bell will be a restricted free agent and that Antonio Brown will be traded. It was fun last night reading through some of the different potential trade scenarios for Antonio Brown. Is there a situation where Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell could wind up on the same team? I think that's worth visiting because I think there is a team in the Bay Area that has room for both of them. But we'll get into those types of discussions tomorrow when we have some fun in our mailbag, as we've gotten a lot of questions about Le'Veon Bell, about Antonio Brown, about them prospectively winding up with one of the Bay Area teams. But Le'Veon Bell, by the way, 130 yards per game over 5 seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers. That is amazing. 130 yards per game. No word yet, though, if Le'Veon Bell was playoff activated when he received this news. We know that Sam Amick is always playoff activated. Sam Amick of The Athletic with us here on The Drive. Sammy, always great to hear from you. The NBA, second part of the NBA season gets underway tonight. Want to start with the Los Angeles Lakers and the Houston Rockets. They play tonight. Want to start with LeBron James, who LeBron already, by his own admission, Sammy, is playoff activated. What does playoff activation mean to you?
Playoff activation, Damien, it feels very video gamey. You know what I mean? Like you got the cheat code and you've been waiting to use it. and you wait until the big boss is, very near in your future, and then you type in the code, and then you're indestructible. I think that's what playoff activated means, but I think LeBron might find out that the cheat code has been changed, so we shall see. These Lakers are going to have a hard time.
Is there a scenario? I'm glad you said that. Is there a scenario that you could see, Sam, where LeBron is out of this world, and we all know that he's capable of? No one is laughing at that because we've seen it too many times. But
Sure.
that this Laker team just isn't good enough, or
Yeah,
engaged enough to make a run.
I mean, for one, and it's a small sample size, but during all the trade deadline chaos and then immediately after, I looked at this the other day. You got a 6-game stretch after LeBron came back. Now, he missed one of those games, the loss to the Warriors. They go 2-4, and their net rating, which, as you know, is one of the more trusted stats that just, quantifies just bottom line how good a team is playing, how bad they're playing. Net rating was 28th in the NBA. So that's with him back, all except for one of those games. And I think that, the other thing that's getting glossed over, people are acting like, oh, well, LeBron's back, but is he all the way back? Listen, the dude averaged a triple-double in these past 5 games that he played in. And, it's still a team game. So, yeah, I think that, if the Ingrams and the Kuzmas and the Harts and guys like that don't kind of find that spirit to actually care enough to get to the playoffs with him, then it might be your Kings or maybe the Clippers getting in there instead.
Are you impressed by players who average triple-doubles? Because if you are, boy, I've got the player for you, Sammy. I have got the guy for you, my friend. We'll talk after the show. Kyle?
Sam, you mentioned the Clippers in there, and they're interesting to watch down the stretch because they get their first-round pick, and correct me if I'm wrong, they keep their first-round pick if they miss the playoffs. Do you foresee them maybe not trying to make the playoffs down the stretch?
I don't honestly. I can't gauge it, and I know a lot. Like the Clippers have a big group from front office to coaches and stuff. So it's a great question, Kyle, and I don't have the answer, even though I know a lot of people in the front office and I know people on the team, and I can't figure out who's going to win this battle because the people on the team, from Doc Rivers on down, they just don't have it in them to roll over, lay down, and they want to compete. And you have guys on that team my goodness, Lou Williams. Say what you will about him being a one-way player because he is, but baller competitor, right? Like nobody really questions his competitiveness. Montrezl Harrell, guy's an absolute beast. Patrick Beverley gets after it every single night. These are the types of guys with Danilo Gallinari playing pretty good ball that don't want to lose. And so information, they lose the first round pick if they make the playoffs. But they're going into this summer with 2, and I'm starting to wonder, if they get close to that playoff near the end, does management decide that there is a value when it comes to the optics of the Kawhi Leonards and Kevin Durant's on, look at this, guys, like we got to the playoffs, like, without you. And, this is going to be, we're going to have a great time with you. So I don't know. That's going to be very interesting down the stretch because normally that team would roll over and want to keep that pick.
Looking at another team that's fighting for a playoff spot, which is a weird sentence to say, is the San Antonio Spurs. Pop seems to have flirted a little bit with retirement this year. Do you think that these might legitimately be the last 20-some-odd games of Greg Popovich's coaching career?
It sounds like it could be. I don't have, any independent intel on that front, so I'll lean on friend and colleague Mark Stein of the New York Times, who has written pretty extensively about this and indicated that, I believe what he reported was that the Spurs just simply did not know what Pop was going to do this summer, and so that was an open question. He's got the Team USA gig, in his back pocket to where he would still be coaching, so he's not going to disappear from the coaching ranks. He's just going into that tenure. But, it's listen, it's been a long level of success and looking at this kind of a transition that has gone better than expected this year, I think, or at least, it's gone okay after having to trade a guy like Kawhi Leonard. but it's not. I mean, they're still so far from championship contention that if you're him, I mean, what's the end game? Are you trying to see this through to another title in San Antonio? Because that's going to probably take you 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And, I don't see him coaching for that long for sure.
Sam Amick of The Athletic with us here on The Drive. Sam, I loved your new column for The Athletic, or at least your most recent column, because it just covered such a wide range of topics. And one of them was Adam Silver. And I'm wondering what your feeling was coming out of Adam Silver's kind of State of the NBA address, and more specifically, how you felt Adam Silver did addressing the situation. Obviously, he was talking about trades and players requesting a trade. Obviously, Anthony Davis was, on the forefront of everybody's mind during this press conference.
First of all, before I answer that, did you enjoy the Forget Paris video clip that was
I did.
included?
That's a deep cut that I think many people enjoyed.
Old school Kareem, Isaiah, Bill Laimbeer, Billy Crystal throwing everybody out of the game, which is what I think Adam should be doing when it comes to the tampering issue. When it comes to AD and Adam's framing of that, I like Adam a lot. He's done a tremendous job as commissioner, but he's just far more political is not the right way of saying it, but he's just not. I mean, David Stern just he just put it on the table, with how he saw stuff, and Adam is masterful when it comes to being substantive and not being up there as any sort of talking head or just a paper tiger, but doing it in a way that pleases as many crowds as possible. So I don't know. He talked about AD and the idea that he is disconcerted by the fact that these guys signed these contracts and then so far in advance of the contract being up, they're trying to kind of work their way out of town. And he, to his credit, did acknowledge all these unintended consequences of tweaks that have been made in the collective bargaining agreement. And that's what we're seeing right now. The Supermax deal that they thought was going to keep guys in their incumbent market, that has not been the case locally, with DeMarcus Cousins being a great example, where the Kings, they didn't want to pay that premium. So, he knows they got work to do on that front.
You think it was a bad look for Rich Paul to be sitting courtside at the All-Star game?
It's funny. Not only a bad look, but I mean, there was more than meets the eye with that story. I heard some stuff yesterday that was fascinating. Like, Rich Paul is definitely, he's getting under the skin of all of his rivals right now. And even people within the league who don't think that the AD situation has been handled very well. He's the part of me that admittedly kind of loves it is that he is, I don't know if he's going to succeed, but he is 100% trying to buck the system. Like, in every opportunity he has, he's trying. If conventional wisdom is that agents don't sit on the floor, he's going to sit on the floor. Mm-hmm. If conventional wisdom is that you make trade demands, by leaking them through the media anonymously, he's going to put his name on it and say it on the record. So the part of me that, from an entertainment value standpoint, it's kind of fun to see a disruptor in an industry, because, I don't have any skin in the game. But within the league, he's definitely, rubbing a lot of people the wrong way right now.
That's not terribly unusual, though, is it? It's not unusual for agents to be, to dislike one another. Is it just the tie to LeBron James?
No, but they're all talking about him. It's probably the tie, and it's this debate over power or the perception of power, and it's on both sides. On Rich's side, and with good reason, he's pushing back against the narrative that he would never be, that essentially he's not accomplishing anything in his career independent of LeBron James. And so, he certainly, he reacts very strongly anytime anybody writes or says that, this guy doesn't have any, only has juice because of LeBron. Mm-hmm. Because, he has built up his client list. He has handled some other situations, some good, some bad. But, he's been doing this thing for a minute now. And then on the other side, I think it's resentment over the fact that the longer that he does this, he is getting kind of credited with having a certain level of influence within the NBA. And people who don't like him, they always want him to be perceived as just LeBron's guy, mm-hmm. and nothing more. And they're trying to keep that label on him. So that's kind of where it's at right now.
It's funny. There are there are agents who represent, one guy will represent 10 All-Stars, 7 Olympians or whatever. Rich Paul has John Wall, Ben Simmons, LeBron, and Anthony Davis, and then he has kind of a cast of characters that are along the lines of the Morris brothers and Ben McLemore. This all, to me, comes back to LeBron. People are jealous of his association with LeBron James and the belief that LeBron is the most powerful figure in all the sports, and it's not Rich Paul, and it's not Adam Silver, it's LeBron James.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's funny you mentioned that because the root of this whole conversation I had with this other agent yesterday was that I had shared with him that I was contemplating writing a story or doing like a ranking that tried, and I've been thinking about this for years, and hopefully nobody listening is in the media and steals my idea, but like of ranking, most powerful people in the NBA, but having it be like an unorthodox list, because everybody would say Adam Silver, LeBron James, Michelle Roberts, go down the line. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about some of the characters, that not everybody knows or even realizes how much power they have. But it's hard to get at that question. And so that conversation led to the Rich Paul debate, because it's like, I know for a fact, like wherever I put Rich would be way too high for everybody else in the entire league. Like the blowback on that front would be great. So it's that word I used a second ago. It's disruptor. That's what he's doing. And there's a bigger backdrop here as well of like a young African-American executive who doesn't like the way the system works and is trying to, kind of spark change in a pretty unique way. So, that's where Rich's head is at. I've talked to him about it. Like he wants to inspire superstars to not work within the system, to kind of seize the control of their own situation. And even the other day, not to ramble on it, but, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did an interview with, I think it was Michael Lee at our place, The Athletic, that where he said flat out that, players, they just don't know how long they're going to play. And so he was endorsing the idea that somebody like Anthony Davis would go to extreme measures to put himself in a place where he's happy sooner rather than later, because, as we saw last night, Zion Williamson gets hurt. All it takes is one injury, and this whole thing comes to an end. And so that's, Rich is trying to push people down that road.
People should really take the time to read up on Rich Paul. It's a fascinating story. You talk about, people being uncomfortable because he's a disturber. He also did things differently. His path to the NBA, his path as an NBA agent was a lot different than these other guys in the league, and it's worth a read up. It's really, to me, a very, very interesting story, and he is a very, very compelling figure in the world of the NBA, far past his association with LeBron James. We've talked about the Lakers, Sammy. We've talked a little bit about the Clippers. The Sacramento Kings are the other team involved in the playoff mix here when we're talking about the 8th spot and even potentially the 7th spot. If I forced you to put some of those Amick dollars down on a team right now, who do you like grabbing that final spot as we head into the second part of the season tonight?
Man, I really don't. I don't like any of my picks. The Kings would be my pick, but what pushes me away from them is just the schedule, because I fear for their sake that in about 10 days they might find themselves with quite a hole to make up, because they've got a pretty rough run. And not only that, you're playing really good teams at a time when those really good teams are re-energized after the break, motivated to win, as opposed to catching them in the last week of the season when maybe they're kind of dialing it back. So I'm sure kind of displeasure of the local crowd, I will not say the Kings. I guess I'll go with the Lakers. The Clippers thing, I guess I'll say they fall out at the tail end and they put up, a good fight and send out that messaging that they competed from beginning to end. But then, oh, look at that. They barely missed and now they get to keep their pick type of deal. But I don't trust any of it. I trust the Kings, honestly, potentially probably the most of the three as a team. That's just a scheduling thing. But, the Lakers, I guess I'll lean on the LeBron history and say that they find a way to get it done.
The Lakers with the 4th toughest remaining schedule in the NBA, according to ESPN. stats and information. No one's really.
What's the Kings? See, I don't know what I'm talking about then. What's the Kings?
I actually
ranking?
don't have the Kings number. Could you pull that up for me, Kyle? Could you see what the Kings' strength of schedule looks like for the remainder of the season? I know a lot of Sacramento Kings fans have posted various versions of the schedule with teams above 500 versus teams below 500, but what the actual strength of schedule number is, I don't know. Kyle's looking that up right now. I just happen to have the Lakers number in front of me here, and we mentioned that is the 4th. Kyle? The 21st most difficult schedule. Okay.
What am I talking about then, man? Well, since I'm already getting yelled at by a good old drunk neighbor John on my phone for picking the Lakers, maybe I'll change my pick now and go back to the Kings. The schedule's not as tough as I thought. It didn't take very long, Damien. I look at my phone and I'm being told to, for all intents and purposes, go to hell. I didn't pick the Kings.
we invite flip-floppers on the show. That's never a problem, Sammy, and drunk neighbor
21st,
John.
21st, you said?
Yeah.
Jeez. All right.
It's it's that first stretch, Sam, right out the gate, because it starts with the Warriors. It ended with the Nuggets. It starts with the Warriors here. Oklahoma City's coming up this weekend. When you look at those first 5 games out of the gate, you just said, in 10 days, the Kings could look at this thing and find themselves out of it. They're going to have to find a way to beat a couple of these really good teams. They got the Bucks coming in here on Wednesday, for goodness sakes.
I know. I'm excited to see Giannis come to town. And, all right, well, maybe they can pull it off. Man, Kyle, you're asking good questions. You're inspiring me to flip-flop with your intel. You're on fire today, man.
Also, thanks. I'm wearing the good question crown right now, so I feel really good about myself. Thank you.
I'm clearly looking at my phone too much because I saw your Twitter mention. All right, so Kings in. There we go. Warriors-Kings in the first round. Tonight is a playoff preview. That changes everything. And maybe they can go shock the champs tonight and get going on the right road here.
Well, if they do that, they're going to have to do it likely with an increased role from DeMarcus Cousins, who Steve Kerr said yesterday the minutes restriction on him will be lifted. He's been playing 23.4 minutes per game since his return. An uptick in minutes for DeMarcus Cousins beginning tonight. Do you see that being another shift in the current state of the Golden State Warriors?
I do. I'm curious to see how Steve coaches tonight. I mean, I don't think he would lean into this all that much, but knowing that DeMarcus is now comfortable, knowing that he's playing his old team, he's probably going to get that ball fed to him in the post more than they have been of late. So we'll see if he's going to try to go drop a 50 spot on his old squad. But stylistically, this is not a good matchup for him unless they can just find a way to slow the Kings down. More minutes for him, for him on the floor with a team that runs like the Kings do is going to be challenging. But, he's absolutely an X factor for them going down the stretch as they continue to try to figure out their comfort zone with them, figure out, what party's going to play in the playoffs. And a lot of focus, the thing is, it's not going to be until the finals until he becomes of the utmost importance if they get there, when you're going up against now the Marc Gasols and the Joel Embiids and guys like that. But, it's a different wrinkle that so far has looked pretty good for them.
Sammy, we got to let you go. Quick, one more note on tonight's game. Does Harden go for 30-plus?
Yeah. I mean, he's just doing that in his sleep. So I say, yeah. I mean, it's even on nights when he looks like he's off, he gets it, mid-third quarter. So I'm definitely going to go for the over.
There you have it. Rockets get Clint Capella back to the lineup tonight. Sammy, you're the best. We appreciate you, my friend. Thank you as always.
You got it. Thanks, Damien.
All right. Sam Amick of The Athletic. If you are not a subscriber yet, become a subscriber. The work, not just from Sam, but the rest of the crew over there at The Athletic is fantastic. We're going to talk more about the Sacramento Kings, who Sammy flip-flopped on there. He's all about the Kings in the playoffs right now. How confident are you that the Kings will make the playoffs? We asked you that over on Facebook. We'll get to some of your responses. And then for the first time, we'll break down in depth the game tonight against a team that the Sacramento Kings have played against so well. It is the Kings and the Warriors tonight as the second part of the NBA season resumes. We'll talk a little bit of football next. The Steelers general manager.
Nobody loves sports more than Alexa.
That's right. Tell it like it is.
Now you can put the most passionate sports fan, Alexa, to work for you.
Yeah, baby.
Open the Alexa app. Enable the Sports 1140 KHTK skills. Then it's easy to stream us from anywhere.
I have skills. Mad skills.
Alexa, play Sports 1140 KHTK.
It's Carmichael Dave here to talk to you about Fire Wings. They've got their Nashville Fire Chicken Sandwich, and they've got it at all of their locations now in the Sacramento area. A butterflied chicken thigh. I've tried it. I love every single morsel. Right down, don't forget, to the pickle. The spice is great. The flavor lingers as well. And you, I promise, will not be disappointed. It's the best and the spiciest Nashville Fire Sandwich around. But they have 3 levels of spice. You can choose which one you want that's best for you, and they serve it on a brioche bun with coleslaw. It is truly the best. Now, if you're still into, of course, their award-winning wings, they've got their 21 different flavors to choose from. And, of course, you know my favorite, the breaded Malaysian curry. Ordering, super simple. You can order online from a location near you at firewings.com or, of course, go in and visit them. Tell them your good buddy Carmichael Dave sent you over there. And always remember, never forget, Fire Wings. Just wing it.
This is Brandon Tierney with a CBS Sports Minute sponsored by Glassdoor. Find the right fit for your business at glassdoor.com/hire. Probably didn't think the Padres were going to cough up $300 million for Manny Machado, did you? You know who wanted Machado? The White Sox wanted him. They reportedly offered in the neighborhood of $300 million as well, but he spurned that offer to go to San Diego. So they still have money to spend. Here's how they should spend it. Take the $300 million and disperse it in a bunch of different spots. Dallas Keuchel will give you 3 years plus an option. Craig Kimbrell, here's 2 years for $20 million a pop. Marwin Gonzalez will give you 4 years, $65 million. Adam Jones will give you Andrew McCutchen money, 3 years, $50 million. And we already have Jose Abreu as the mainstay DH. And you look at the division if this ever happened. The Tigers stink, the Royals stink, the Twins stink. Your only competition's the Indians. White Sox, join the party, mix it up, make it really interesting. I'm Pete Taylor.
Hey, Sacramento. Thinking of selling your home but worried about how long it might take? Check out Open Door, the new way to sell your house on your timeline. We buy your home directly, so there's no risk of buyer financing falling through. And when you accept our offer, you decide when you move. At Open Door, we put home sellers in control. Just listen.
I'll never forget, we walked out of the title office and we were looking at each other and we were like, we just sold our house.
There wasn't a moment of concern or worry. It was wonderful. We'd do it again.
With a typical transaction, you're at the buyer's mercy. With Open Door, it was, how can we help you?
There were no surprises.
Taking charge of your home sale is easy. Visit opendoor.com/sold and our local real estate experts will make a custom offer just for you. It's free and there's no obligation to accept. It's your move. Take control and visit opendoor.com/sold today. Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage, Inc., a licensed real estate brokerage in the state of California. License ID number 02061130. Customers were compensated for their time. Opinions are their own.
It's 2019 and you have goals to hit. Get fit, get healthy, get energized. No matter your goals, my boy Mike at Sunrise Natural Foods can help you not only meet your goals, but blow your 2019 goals out of the water. Visit Sunrise Natural Foods.
Sacramento weather brought to you by Cache Creek Casino Resort. Clear skies today with a high of 57 degrees and some gusty wind this afternoon. Cache Creek 500 slot tournaments held every Friday through Monday until March 16th. The top 5 daily scores will move on to the finals, where a brand new 2019 Corvette will be given away. Visit CacheCreek.com for details.
During every Kings broadcast, listen for Gary Gerald to call the Petkus Brothers Moment of the Game. Get the spectacular backyard you've always wanted. Start now at PetkusBrothers.com.
Now, your Sports 1140 KHTK update. Brought to you by J.R. Putman Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
This is Kyle Madson with your top stories on Sports 1140. The Zion Williamson show last night at Cameron Indoor Stadium lasted only 36 seconds. Duke's star forward blew out a shoe and injured his knee in the first minute of number 1 Duke's 88-72 loss to number 8 North Carolina. Coach K after the game called that knee injury a mild knee sprain, and a timeline for Williamson's return is unknown. And the NBA is back tonight. The Kings open their final 25-game stretch against the Warriors in Oakland. Golden State center DeMarcus Cousins will be without a minutes restriction for the first time since he returned from his Achilles injury back in January. Our coverage on Sports 1140 begins with game night at 6. Kings Live is at 7 and tip-off with the G-Man a little bit later tonight. It's set for 7:30. It is 8:29, and those are your top stories. Now it's time for The Drive on Sports 1140.
Damien, I'm still here.
It's Damien.
Thank you.
It's Damien filling in for Dave.
Thanks. Be here all week, folks. Be here all week. It was my shirt. You don't like my shirt?
If you don't tune into the live stream, do it now.
Yeah, well, I did. What I had realized is I actually did have. There's a pic that Chris's, the champ, is right next to me, which we do every live stream because Chris doesn't come over with us when we do the mornings. So I make sure that Chris is represented with the champ T-shirt. Cody isn't in here for all 3 hours because she has tons of other duties that she has to do here at the radio station. So I keep my favorite picture of her right behind me. And so when Cody calls, she doesn't know this, but when Cody calls me, that's the picture that comes up that tells me to answer the phone. So that's directly over my shoulder. What I didn't realize was you guys can't see the picture that I had of Jason. I had it on Jason's chair directly in front of me where Jason would be sitting if he was here. I didn't realize you couldn't see it. So I had to take it in I've just now have put the picture of Jason staring lovingly at Nemanja Bjelica at Media Day this week. I have it now taped to my shirt so everybody watching on KHTK.com can see. So I'm going to have to find a creative place to place this picture tomorrow so everybody can see it and know that even though Jason's not here, he is still king of the live stream and he is still very much a part of the show even when he is not around. Le'Veon Bell, he will not be a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers moving forward. As the general manager, Kevin Colbert, said yesterday, Le'Veon's a great player. Unfortunately, we can't afford to use any other tags on him. Le'Veon will be an unrestricted free agent at the start of the new league year. We could spend some time tomorrow talking about where Le'Veon Bell fits, where the best situation for him is, where the best situation potentially for a team trying to pick him up who could take the next step with Le'Veon Bell on the roster maybe. We can do all of that moving forward. It's amazing to me that a guy who averaged 130 yards per game over 5 seasons for a team, you couldn't come to a long-term contract extension with him because that's what this is all about. This isn't about a franchise tag. This is about a contract extension and about paying a running back his value to the team. You're talking about the most dynamic running back in the NFL. And you didn't want to pay him over that $14.5 million marker that the franchise tag was. Now, there were, I think the highest number that we heard reported was around 13. But he kept saying, no, like you got to pay me more than that. I'm worth closer to 17 to 20. I don't know if he's going to get that. Teams are going to have the ability to offer it. There are plenty of teams with cap space out there that can offer him that dollar figure. It's just a question of what's the number that he'll go for. To me, at 27, this is easy. Now, I'm not a general manager and I don't negotiate contracts, but if I was an agent, I would put this as a very simple deal for whatever team that wants to sign Le'Veon Bell. Sign him to a 2 to 3 year fully guaranteed contract, and then you're out. No one's going to be comfortable with that third year because he's going to be 30. So you can have 2 years and perhaps the option for a third, a team option for a third at the same dollar figure. That way, if the team's uncomfortable, they can get out. But do the Kirk Cousins style contract where it's fully guaranteed. That's how I would approach this if I was his agent. And if I was a general manager, I don't know why I'd say no to that. Because your concern with Le'Veon Bell is going to wind up being his age. Well, take advantage of the at least 2 more years that you know that he's going to be very good. Or at least that the clock says he's going to be very good. He's 27 and he didn't play last year. And yet somehow, that's not the most outlandish thing that Kevin Colbert said yesterday. What he did say that I just can't get over, he said about Ben Roethlisberger. Now, he talked about Ben Roethlisberger being the unquestioned leader of the locker room. He talked about Ben Roethlisberger having the freedom to publicly criticize his teammates if he sees fit. And I quote, he's the elder statesman and the Super Bowl winner. If our players were smart, I repeat, if our players were smart, they'd listen to him because he's been there. He's done that. He can tell them, no, guys, what you're doing is or is not good enough to do this. That's the general manager of the Pittsburgh Steelers talking about Ben Roethlisberger. As stupid as I find every word that came out of his mouth, nothing is as dumb as this line. I honestly believe that can be a burden on him more often than he may like to admit, because he has to. I mean, he's got 52 kids under him, to be quite honest. The general manager of the Pittsburgh Steelers just referred to 52 players on his roster as Ben Roethlisberger's children. I'm being silent for dramatic effect. Let that sink in. Imagine the elder statesman at your office is the prize commodity of your boss, and your boss stands in front of a meeting and says, you guys are just the children of so-and-so here. I'm trying to envision my boss, not Jason, but my boss downstairs, walking up and having a staff meeting and saying, well, you know, you really should listen to Grant Napier. Like, he's the elder statesman here. You guys are basically his sons and daughters. Like, I'm sorry, what? Like, I would really have to ask Kevin Colbert. Like, I'd call him right now. Like, hey, I'm going to need you to clarify this just a little bit. Like, what did you mean that we're Ben Roethlisberger's 52 kids out here? And given some of the accusations surrounding Ben Roethlisberger, 52 kids might be, oh, never mind. Nope. Sorry, Kyle, you wanted to jump in? Sorry.
It would just be, it would be very difficult just because of human nature to function properly after that. Like, that's just not an okay thing to say.
No, it's horrible. It's absurd.
Like, it's so difficult to unpack all the layers of stupidity on that. And
is there any wonder why this team self-destructed last year?
No.
Given those were quotes from the general manager.
So basically, any dispute that a player has with Ben Roethlisberger, they A, either can't bring it up, or B, they can and know that they're going to get shunned by the front office for it.
Does anybody roll their eyes now at what Antonio Brown said on Twitter the other day about Ben Roethlisberger having the mentality of an owner? Like, he has been given the credibility. He has been given the status of basically the owner of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And listening to their general manager talk, it's no wonder Antonio Brown feels that way. You had the most talented running back in the league. You had the most talented wide receiver in the league. But somehow, they're the problem? Does anybody who may have been on the side of Ben Roethlisberger, or may have been anti-Antonio Brown or anti-Le'Veon Bell or anti them wanting to get out of Pittsburgh, does anybody think differently now after hearing what this general manager says? After hearing the general manager say Ben Roethlisberger can do what he wants? You know who else can do what they want? Tom Brady. Tom Brady can do what the hell he wants. He's got 2 hands full of Super Bowl rings. You know who doesn't behave like this? Tom Brady. You know who doesn't placate Tom Brady's behavior? His de facto general manager, who is also his coach.
Bill Belichick has never once said, Julian Edelman, you're basically Tom Brady's son.
Never. He's barely acknowledged Tom Brady as being any good.
Correct.
Like,
it takes a lot.
He will very passively aggressively praise, oh, yeah, no, he's good. Like, I remember moments after the Super Bowl, they're asking Bill Belichick on the podium at I don't remember if it was SportsCenter or ESPN or what postgame show it was, but they're trying to get him to praise Tom Brady, and he basically says, "Yeah, he's good.
He could have been better."
It was a team effort. Like, we all got the job done. Everybody did their job. Yeah, but Tom is good, but everybody else did their job. Like, might I introduce you to my right tackle over here? Might I introduce you to my nose guard here? Because Bill Belichick, I honest to God believes he thinks everyone on that team played an equal part into winning the championship. And I'm not disagreeing with him or saying that he's wrong, but you'll never hear him say some outlandish trash like this Pittsburgh Steelers general manager did.
I'm not sure you'll hear any general manager say
this
that.
Is insane.
That's such a wild thing to say.
Just oh my gosh, just the more you read this, he's the elder statesman and the Super Bowl winner. And we just brushed past the fact that he used the phrase, if our players were smart, they'd listen to him. And that's a clear insinuation that, well, Antonio Brown didn't want to listen. Antonio Brown didn't bow at the feet of Ben Roethlisberger like he should have. James Harrison didn't do it. Perhaps Le'Veon Bell didn't do it either. But if our players were smart, they'd listen to him because he's been there. He's done it.
What did he say? It starts with Ben and then everyone else fills in the gaps or something like that? Can you imagine being an all-pro at any position and being told, like, yeah, you're just kind of there?
Can you imagine?
You're disposable.
No, you know what? How about this?
Because we have Ben Roethlisberger. Ugh.
Can you imagine being an
52 stupid kids,
all-pro wide receiver, or perhaps the best wide receiver in all of football? Can you imagine being that guy and being told on a radio show by your quarterback that you should run a better route? Because imagine the fallout if Antonio Brown said, Ben's not getting the ball out quick enough. Ben's spiral's not tight enough. Ben's not getting the ball. He's got to put more velocity on the ball. Imagine that. That's not going over very well.
No.
But what Ben Roethlisberger does is counted as leadership. More ridiculous quotes from this idiot. I want them to step up and say, hey, Ben, what do I have to do? Can I do this better? What do you have to do to win a Super Bowl? I think that once you win it, you've got 53 guys who can say what it took. Right now, he's the only one. So I have no problem with him. He can call me out, and that's fine. What he does, I totally respect because I see him too many times win games for us and come through in situations. Again, I will ask the question, is there any wonder why the Pittsburgh Steelers were a sea of dysfunction this year? Those are quotes from their general manager. We're going to leave that behind. We're going to get to your Sacramento Kings. They are back in action tonight against the Golden State Warriors. How confident are you the Kings will make the playoffs? We've got that next.
The Sacramento Kings begin their push for the playoffs tonight with their final matchup of the regular season against the defending champion Golden State Warriors.
The college dive, hammers it on the quick turn.
Game time is 7:30 on your home of the Kings, Sports 1140 KHTK.
And that will seal the deal.
Now that the holidays are over and here in Sacramento our winter is officially starting, it's time for you to think about getting your heater checked out by Sierra Pacific. Right now, they've got up to $1,600 rebates on a new Linux system. And they've got your winter tune-up special. Just $89 gets your entire system checked out and ready to go. You see them everywhere, the guys in the big red trucks. Call Sierra Pacific today, 800-551-3040, or online at sierrapacifichome.com.
Sierra Pacific Solar Heating and Air, the guys in the big red trucks.
At Zoom Imaging Solutions, it's all about one company, one team, and one family. When you work with Zoom, you will quickly find out they conduct their business with the utmost integrity, transparency, dependability, and commitment. There's many duplicate businesses out there in today's marketplace, but there's only one Zoom. Find out for yourself the Zoom difference and give them a call at 916-369-6526 or visit zoomcopiers.com to reach a specialist in your area.
California, welcome to Save Yourself with Geico.
You casually maneuver to snap a photo of the guy at the restaurant who looks just like that one celebrity from that movie, and your flash goes off. You couldn't save yourself from the embarrassment of doppelganger guy noticing your paparazzi pic. But you could save yourself hundreds by switching your car insurance to Geico.
Yes.
You could save on motorcycle, boat, and RV insurance too. Plus, the Geico Insurance Agency could help you save on homeowners and renters insurance.
Okay.
While your flash-happy smartphone has become your biggest problem, you should know Geico is the second largest auto insurer in the country.
Nice.
Geico even offers 24/7 access to licensed agents in the award-winning Geico mobile app.
Ooh.
And while your impromptu photo shoot didn't go as planned, you could plan on saving more, like military and federal discounts, with your local Geico agent.
You couldn't save yourself from the shame of being outed by your camera flash, but you could save yourself hundreds with Geico online, over the phone, or at your local office.
At McDonald's, we're about making mornings from NorCal to Central Valley brighter. If the 99 has your commute at a standstill, an Egg McMuffin and a Sausage McMuffin with egg will put a smile on your face. And if your day on the farm can't start without some goodness, an Egg McMuffin and a hot McCafe coffee will be a delicious helping hand. Get either an Egg McMuffin or Sausage McMuffin with egg and an any size hot McCafe coffee for $4. Or mix and match 2 of these sandwiches for $4. Single item at regular price. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
It's easy to hit refresh with an ice-cold, any-size Coke or sweet tea for just $1 at McDonald's. See what I mean? Hit refresh anytime with any size Coke or sweet tea for just $1 on the $1, $2, $3 menu at McDonald's. It'll go perfectly with the food you crave.
Like a cheesy double cheeseburger or crispy 6-piece chicken McNuggets for only $2 each. Price and participation may vary. For a limited time, cannot be combined with any other offer or any combo meal.
Springtime is almost here, and it's the perfect time to get more at AutoZone. And getting more out of your car battery starts with Duralast. Duralast batteries are proven tough, so you can always count on a smooth startup. Give yourself peace of mind with Duralast. Proven tough and available only at AutoZone. Let us help you at more than 5,600 locations nationwide.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Today, business happens here, and virtually anywhere. Because today, innovative companies are reinventing the way business happens. And they need people who can keep up. With the expertise and technology to get packages to over 150 million delivery points. So, who can help you deliver the future of commerce? The United States Postal Service. See why we deliver more e-commerce packages to homes than anyone at USPS.com/future.
Roseville Lexus. Grant Napier here. Nothing tops the feel and performance of driving a new Lexus. And there's no finer place to acquire one than Lexus of Roseville. In the Roseville Auto Mall. Here, Roseville, think Lexus. Lexus Roseville.
Quick reminder as we wrap things up here. Search us out on social media at Damien Barling across all social media platforms, at Jason Ross 1140, at Cody Baylor across all social media platforms as well. Kyle Madson, I believe it is Kyle A. Madson. Search at your own risk and can be a bit dangerous, specifically on Twitter. I'd love the text line, the Jiffy Lube text line at 441140, because many of you share my disgust with Ben Roethlisberger. But there are some great lines here. First of all, those listening on the those watching on KHTK.com have said, I wish my wife looked at me like J. Ross looks at Nemanja.
Same.
Yeah, if everyone's spouse looked at them the way that Jason Ross is looking at Nemanja Bjelica in this picture behind me, 0% of marriages would end in divorce.
It's a great point.
Like 0, because that is, I don't know what that is. I have a picture of Jason and I at training camp for the Oakland Raiders, like 2 or 3 years, where Jason is very lovingly looking at me.
I think that's just Jason.
I think it is too. I completely agree. Jason is a very loving individual, and whether it's me, who he's known for years, or Nemanja Bjelica, who he knew for 7 seconds, he looks at them with a very, I'm not sure loving is the right term for that look, but
there's a lot of desire in those eyes.
There is desire, that's for sure. More text here. Don't lie, it's a picture of Lindsay Fudge on your phone. That's a deep cut reference right there from the lowdown. Well done. Kyle doesn't even get that one.
I don't listen to enough of the lowdown, I guess.
Of course you don't. Lindsay Fudge reference here in the morning. Solid stuff there from the text line. We appreciate that. And yes, I do have Lindsay's picture popping up at random occasion. I actually have Lindsay Fudge's picture pop up when Kyle calls. It's the only thing that makes me happy when Kyle calls. It's like, oh, there's Lindsay. Hi, Kyle. It's just like,
I don't think I've ever called you.
You know, very few people do. Like, Cody started doing it regularly, so that's why I put her picture up.
Sure.
And again, she'll be mortified if she knew that was the picture that pops up when she calls. But Jason's the only, like, no one calls.
Yeah.
Jason calls. Like, if you called, I'd be like, oh, crap.
Right, like what happened?
Jason calls just to talk.
Yeah.
It's totally normal, like, to see Jason. Jason will very much ask you a question that can be text.
Yeah.
But that's not, that is not the J. Ross way. J. Ross is a caller. And if he really wanted to up the ante, he'll call you from his landline at his house.
No way.
Yes. The one that's connected to the wall. He will call you from
What
there.
is this, 2006? All right. Landlines.
More ridiculous quotes from this idiot. So the point in all of that was to thank the text line for sharing in my disgust. Perhaps the best text line, though, is we noted that the idiot I was referring to in that soundbite is the Pittsburgh Steelers general manager, who said, well, kind of in this situation, Ben Roethlisberger's got 52 kids. A number of people have noted on the text line that he still doesn't have as many as Phillip Rivers. So that's, again, solid work.
It's really good.
From those on the text line. If you want to get in the final couple minutes here, you can on the Fire Wings hotline. Try one of the delicious 21 flavors of wings today. Fire Wings, just wing it, 339-1140. 1-800-920-1140. Jason Ross doesn't mail you letters. No, he does that too. Actually, the one of us to actually give out handwritten stuff is actually me.
Yeah.
I'm the one who hands out like handwritten notes or letters to people.
I've never gotten a letter.
It wouldn't be a long one. 7 words or seven letters, 2 words. You want to play Wheel of Fortune right here and see if we can figure it out? That's what it is. That's 100%. You're right about the U and the 4 letters in the front. You're definitely right about that.
Call me Mr. Big Chest.
Yes, indeed. It's a man's body right here.
Is that what the 7 letters are, man body?
That's it. Yes, absolutely.
What y'all looking at is a man body.
Thank you, Antonio. Where is Antonio Brown going to play next year? We'll talk about that tomorrow. In the letters that many of you mailed to Jason Ross here at 280 Commerce Circle, Sacramento, California, 95815. We will open Jason Ross's mail tomorrow on the show. So it's the Kings and the Warriors tonight. We expect a little bit more from DeMarcus Cousins in terms of his minutes out there on the floor. We only expect that because, well, Steve Kerr told us we were going to get that. But we asked you the question over on the Lowdown Facebook page. How confident are you that the Kings will make the playoffs? Remember, this conversation doesn't end when we say goodbye here at the top of the hour. This conversation goes on all throughout the day. So if you haven't gotten to Facebook yet, when you do, search out the Lowdown. Make sure you like us there and take part in our daily questions. This one pertains specifically to your Sacramento Kings. And it looks like a lot of Kings fans, particularly here on social media, are very confident. Pete notes, and I think this is kind of the caveat for every Kings fan who thinks they're going to make the playoffs, is this 5-game stretch coming out the gate might very well determine their fate, where they're going to have teams like, obviously, the Golden State Warriors tonight. If you go back to before the All-Star break, they're coming off that loss against the Denver Nuggets. That right there are the 1 and 2 teams in the Western Conference. You got the Milwaukee Bucks coming to town next week, and you've also got Oklahoma City mixed up in the conversation as well. So there is a lot going on. Ryan says, I'm as confident as Tim Donaghy is when he bets on a game that he's reffing. That was an interesting way to wake up a couple of mornings ago, to see that long, extensive investigative piece into Tim Donaghy. It's a very long piece. If you haven't read it yet, take the time to sit aside and take a look at it.
Make sure you carve out 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll need some time there to deal with your emotions there at the end as well. You might want to do all of that stuff. Keith says Kings are making the playoffs. We're making it with 45 to 47 wins. Schedule looks easy. This all-star break that gave them good rest. That's from Jose. Okay? I don't know about the easy schedule part, but
not a super easy schedule.
I like their chances simply because I dislike the Lakers, and I don't believe the Clippers actually want to make it.
If the Kings, so they've played 3 games over 500 this entire year. If they play 3 games over 500 the rest of the way, that would give them that'd put them at, I guess, they 14-11 in 25 games. That gets them to 44 wins. Okay. If the Clippers decide to, I don't want to say tank, but if the Clippers decide they don't want to make the playoffs, and the Lakers don't have a dramatic turnaround, I think 44 gets there. But if the Clippers and Lakers are both gonna really try and hit their stride, I think it's gonna take 46 to 47.
There are other teams to pay attention to that we're not talking about. You still pay attention to what San Antonio is doing. They've won 6 of their last 10, but they had a rough little stretch before that where they had lost 5 in a row. Maybe just for a little bit, keep an eye on Utah. Just a little bit. Just don't stare at them. Just look.
Just a passing glance.
Just a glance. Just a glance. Just keep an eye out on them.
It's fun to scoreboard watch for the Kings.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it matters. And not in terms of like, hey, we need all these teams to win to help the draft stock.
Right.
Like they need
dramatic turn from a couple years ago.
Extremely dramatic.
Yeah. Or even last year. Really.
Unbelievable, man.
Yeah, this is definitely a lot more fun. And you'll be able to scoreboard watch pretty easily tonight because it's going to be the Lakers and the Rockets on national television. You can keep an eye on that when your Sacramento Kings are playing the Golden State Warriors. Anything besides the increase of DeMarcus Cousins' minutes should we be watching for? Any difference we might see from the Golden State Warriors tonight, Kyle, after the break?
I think we might see them a little bit more locked in, although they were before the break as well. But this
feels
is the
like
time,
they have been since DeMarcus came back.
Yeah, this is the time of year where they're really going to start locking in and playing that high intensity. They're all playoff activated. So I think we see that a higher level of play from them and fewer games where they kind of sleepwalk through it.
Playoff activation.
My level of intensity has to be. Unfortunately for me, because I don't like to do it at such an early time, I'm a little bit different, but it's been activated, so look forward to seeing what we can do.
I love this potential bet here on the text line. I will bet D'Lo the Kings don't make the playoffs, and when he loses, he will have to buy Kawhi's New Balance, wear them for a day, and then donate them to charity.
You can donate them to me.
What size are you?
10 or 10.5.
We could do it.
All right. Huzzah.
So he's telling me that the Kings aren't going to make the playoffs. So I have to take the side of the Kings making the playoffs. And if they don't, well, what's on the other end, though? Like, what does he have to do? Because I'll take the bet. I'll buy Kawhi's New Balance shoes.
He has to buy both of us some Kawhis.
wear them for a Friday and then give them to you. They look quite comfy. They look like a great shoe.
Great job researching, Vladi. Really good researching there.
Did you draft him because you thought he was a fox? That is my favorite thing. The second
Did you draft De'Aaron Fox because you thought he was a fox?
The second part of the NBA season gets underway tonight. Of course, you can catch all of the coverage for your Sacramento Kings tonight with game night, beginning at 6 o'clock. Kings Live coming up at 7 o'clock, and the G-Man on the tip on the Kings Radio Network here at 7:30. We thank you so much for being with us. We'll be back. We'll recap everything that happens in the association tonight. And, of course, we will recap your Sacramento Kings. For Kyle, our executive producer on the live stream, Jay Marshall, and the rest of the Lowdown crew that abandoned me today, we will see you tomorrow at 6 a.m.
This is the Lowdown.